Howdy, Beefalo Bart here. This is going to be my first of hopefully a few Rust videos. I'm relatively new to the game, but I've got a pretty good grasp of it so far. This was my first house that I created. You know, most people just go in, they plop down a little noob starter hut, and they tend to litter the landscape. After a while, I ended up picking up a few things, and this is mostly the leftover stuff that I'm leaving whenever I'm going to the new house. A lot of med supplies, a lot of blueprints, a lot of stuff that I left in here just for a future resident. I ended up knocking down my door so somebody could just move in and take over. Yeah, keep in mind, this is my leftover stuff. I will take some of the key weapons, but my favorite being the bolt action with the hollow sight, and I do like it with the silencer, even though the silencers do decrease the overall damage. Still a fun gun. And see, I wear the entire rad suit. It really helps whenever you're going in and trying to find the decent blueprints are going to be in the high radiation areas. And without that rad suit on, it can get really ugly really fast. The upstairs, pretty much just a nice little place to look out. How I got my start was going to, and it's a rather noob area, but for someone who's new to the game and needs to gear up relatively quickly on a low population server, that is. This is called Rad Town. This is the Rad Town. Every little installation everybody wants to call Rad Town, but this one is the official Rad Town. This is my loot route for picking up all the loot chests that spawn in here. This gray one with the orange stripe is generally a weapons crate. It'll have something weapons related, like the flashlight that I picked up. You can set your own pattern, but this is the one that I like. Green crates, pretty much ammunition. The wooden crates are kind of a generic, can be anything inside there. Building supplies, weapon supplies, ammo, armor, blueprints, anything. Definitely got to make sure you check upstairs. Now, even though I'm pretty well geared up, I will still come down here and loot, simply because there are one or two things that I cannot craft on this server. And anything good that comes up, I'll actually place in a chest nearby, so that if you're running through here and you see a chest, anybody can loot it. But if a new player comes in, they can grab a hold of it and they have something good, instead of just running around buck naked. Running around naked in a radiation zone is not really advisable. Got overwhelmed on one, got killed, and had to run back in naked so I can get all my gear. Thankfully I had plenty of radiation pills, because by the time I made it to my body, I was over 1,000 rads. Which, pretty much at that point, death is relatively soon. Now, if you see red crates, which I believe I'm going to see here soon, the reddish military stock crates are usually health and health and armor related. Almost forgot these two. And that should be it for the loot run in this Rad Town. The other buildings, there are no loot. This particular one right here and the one next to it have nothing. Now, I do have grass turned off. It's a command you can find online. You just hit F1 to bring your console up, and it's grass period on space false, and it takes away a lot of the grass. You still have some, but it helps whenever you're trying to loot something and you can't find the body because it's in all the extra grass. Even with all the cool accessories on this P250, it still takes a full 8 shots to kill a bear. And Dum Dum here, I forget to put first aid kit or bandages in my hotbar, which once you're bleeding, if you don't use a bandage soon, you will bleed to death. And you notice that my health has dropped in half because it took too long to grab a bandage to put on. Love that sound. Now, all of the meat in Rust, if you haven't played and don't know, is going to be a raw chicken breast. Doesn't matter if it comes from a chicken, a rabbit, a bear, a wolf, whatever. Now, harvesting a hatchet naturally should be your first investment of any of your resources, and a sleeping bag. But as you see, I'm getting 10 wood per hit on a wood pile. You want to keep looking for these wood piles. In some areas, they'll spawn relatively close together, and that's a good thing. As you see, it doesn't take very long to start stacking up a whole lot of wood. Just keep running these loot piles for the wood, and in no time you'll have enough supplies to build a good basic house. You have to watch. They'll be hiding under trees sometimes too. Now, why don't you just go up to a tree and do that? Well, this is why. One hit, one wood. Tends to be a waste of time. Unless you just need 1 or 2 pieces of wood and there's no piles nearby, yeah, go ahead and hit a tree. But, yeah. So I never pass up a wood pile. Even if I don't need wood for anything, I never pass it up. Because wood is your primary source of fuel for your campfire and for your furnace. So, when in doubt, loot it. I'm sure you'll find a use for it, or somebody else will. Now, these are the old rocks. These were the black rocks, and the primary use of the black rock was to find more metal. You have to find metal ore, and you usually also get sulfur ore and stones, which are useful in building. But the black rocks were the ones you would go to for finding more metal ore. The gray rocks were a bit more on the sulfur side. Now that has changed with the most recent patch, which my next video should show that. I'm going to apologize ahead of time. This video is going to end rather abruptly because the server that I was filming on, they vanished completely. So all of this work that I'm going through in this video to build the first house, gather all these resources, to learn everything. I can craft everything there is in the game except for, I believe, the Kevlar vest piece. Here is just showcasing the mods on the pistol, the laser, the flashlight, the hollow sight. You know, any of the weapons will have anywhere from 0 to 5 slots. You'll see a little small, either hollow white box or filled white box on a weapon, right there in the bottom left of the icon. That's going to tell you how many slots that it has, and the solid white boxes mean that that's a filled slot. See, this shotgun only has a flashlight. This MP5, it has flashlight and laser. My pistol has flashlight, laser, hollow, and silencer. You know, it's fully loaded. There's only 4 add-ons. The M4, hollow, and flashlight. Now the bolt action, I generally always have a hollow on it, and the silencer's on there just for fun. Now here was the beginning of my first metal house. I drew everything out on graph paper, figured out what I needed to build the entire first floor so that I can come out and just pop it out and be done with it, and go back to the other house until I have enough supplies to finish the second floor. I wanted to have the house completed before I moved in. You see, poor placement of your first block will prevent building correctly. You have to think about the highest point of the terrain before placing your first foundation. Thankfully, the location that I chose gave me enough room that I had no problem going out more, but I couldn't put it exactly where I wanted to because I didn't place the first foundation in an appropriate location on the highest point. I hope that didn't sound too crazy. Simple structure, 3x3 with one additional in the middle for a staircase. You have to set down pillars on every corner of every foundation in order to put a ceiling or a wall attached to it. You have to be careful. You see it kind of stops in the middle. If you put one in the middle, you will not be able to put a wall there. So you do have to be careful when you're placing pillars. And if you put something down in the wrong location, it's really difficult to get rid of it. And in some cases, like the metal, it can take an admin to come in and wipe it out for you. So take your time, don't screw up. All right, with the pillars down, let's go ahead and throw some door frames up. And my stairwell. All you have to do is hit the right mouse button to rotate items. Sad part is I kind of like this house. The house was completed, was happy. I logged out and couldn't log back in because the server was gone. They had some problems with the update and couldn't update properly. So the video will end. I really couldn't find any other footage that I wanted to throw on. So I'll just keep quiet and I'll let you watch the rest of this. And thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.